Reverend Fathers, dear nuns, and ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted and honored and also humbled to receive this prestigious award tonight, and I am particularly taken with the word achievement, so I'd like to tell you a story. In 1956, the Brooklyn Dodgers were going to Japan for a series of exhibitions. I was invited to go along. One of the young couples, a player and his bride, were dear friends of mine, and when we learned that the Dodger plan was to leave Japan and go back to New York by California, we decided, no, let's go from Japan through Europe to Rome to London before coming home. Well, that's exactly what we did. Her father was a very important man in the church. He was a Knight of Malta. He was a tremendous contributor of money, and he was also the president of Goldwyn Pictures. So he arranged, since we were going to Rome, to have an audience with the Pope. Well, I went home and told my mother, and my red-headed, excitable Irish mother was so excited and thrilled. She said, "Oh, Vin, please, when you go, remember everything, and then come back and tell me about it so I can have the feeling as if I had made the trip myself." I said, "Mom, I will try to remember everything." So we played in Japan, we then went to Rome, and now it was the day of the audience. And we went from room to room, each room full of magnificent artifacts, gifts that had been given to various popes down through the ages. And eventually, we came to the room next door to the papal apartment. Now, I'll never forget, there were French doors on one wall and brilliant sunshine coming in. And all of a sudden, His Holiness walked into the room. He was somewhat gaunt. He had black olive eyes, wore glasses, and walked over, stood in front of the French doors, and looked at us. 14 of us were in the form of a U. He then walked from the French doors right to the center of that U, turned around. There was a photographer all set to take the picture. Now, we were told not to speak to the Pope unless he spoke to us. And he started at the beginning of one side of the U, and he talked French, and he talked Italian. I think he talked a little German, and eventually he came to the three of us. And the young bride spoke. She broke the rule and said to the Pope, "Your Holiness, would you bless my family?" Which he did. And then he turned to the player, Ralph Branca, and said, "Where are you from, my son?" And I'm trying to remember everything. And Ralph said, "New Rochelle, New York, Your Holiness." "Oh, yes," he said, "I know where that is." And now here's the moment. He started to turn to look to me. And believe me, my knees were trembling. My throat was dry. The palms were sweat. And I'm thinking, remember from Mom. And he turned and looked at me with those big eyes. And he said, "Are you with them?" And I said, "Yes." And he turned and walked away. Now, are you with them? How would you like to tell that to your mother, Your Holiness, and yourself standing face to face? But now as I've gotten older, I realized that those couple of words, "Are you with them?" really sums up why I'm here tonight. Oh yes, are you with them for the thousands of baseball games that I saw? The hundreds and hundreds of home runs to end exciting games, the no-hitters, I was with them. And even the greatest plays of all, the perfect games, I was with them. And in football, I was with them when they scored touchdowns. In golf, I was with them when they won tournaments. Even tennis, I was with them along the way. And the more I think about it now, I realize not all of us can be heroes. And certainly for me, a hero goes by and I'm standing on the curb applauding as I was with them. I remember too, to whom much is given, a great deal is required. And I pray that I will be able to fill the definition of what was required before I leave this mortal coil. And one last thought, if you don't mind, could I have a picture of all the priests and all the nuns in one great big picture? I'd like to have that so that when I'm finally called upon Judgment Day, I will go up and I will hold that picture and I will say, "I'm with them." God bless and good night.